Well, shooters and reloaders out there, Fortune Cookie 45LC coming to you from the hot lead zone. And this video is a review of the Lee Auto Drum powder measure based on the use of 3 of these things over the last 1 year and 7 months. And during that time we learned a lot of things about this powder measure that might be good to share with you. And what kicked this off is the request for some answered questions from Grounds 28 and also Loads of Bacon. Now Loads of Bacon is finding out that he is very frustrated with his Lee Auto Drum powder measure because of inaccuracy. So his frustrations have caused him not to use this. First of all, the setup so that we get the right mouth flare so that a bullet will enter the case mouth. Once you get that setting, the powder measure is a seamless installation and it will run nicely. We just need to make sure that we get a full stroke to deliver the powder charge, and that is seen by this plastic part that comes all the way to the top of this housing. And there's also a part on the other side that does the same thing. Once it goes to the top of the housing, you got a full stroke. If you apply more mouth flaring than that, you'll start to put strain on this apparatus, so that's not necessary. Now, 2 of the main complaints on this measure, one is that we get powder leakage. Now, I found that if you're loading Winchester Western 296 or H110, the finest of the fine grain powders, you can get a little leakage. The way to solve that is a 1/4 turn more tension on the screw that installs the drum, and that can solve your problem. And if that doesn't help, then you can actually take this drum out and interchange it with other drums that you get, because not all drums will leak. When you find a drum that does not leak with the fine grain powder you are loading, then that's a designated drum for that fine grain powder. The ones that do leak, save those for your big flake powders, and there won't be any leakage problem with those. So I've got 14 of these drums, and I could use some more, and that gives you great flexibility if you have more of these to go ahead and solve your leakage problems. Okay, enough about leakage. Now the other complaint revolves around inaccurate throws from this measure. And if you review all of the videos out on YouTube on this powder measure, you'll see that some shooters are reporting accuracy within 1/10 to a 1/10 high or low, which is a 2/10 range, and that's fine accuracy. Well, how is it possible that we're getting reviews like that, and then there are some that are very frustrated with the performance of the accuracy of this measure? Let's look into that. So first of all, we're loading 45 ACP with unique powder here, and 6.5 grains is the charge that we're going to be throwing. We're using 200 grain bullets in this particular load, 200 grain cast bullets. So 6.5 grain charge is very appropriate. Now, when you're loading 45 ACP, for instance, now these are all brass cases that are all resized and reprimed, and they're ready for mouth belling and also neck expansion. So these are raw cases. If you take the same case and keep throwing charges into this same case, you will get amazing accuracy from this powder measure, because you'll have smooth operation. Well, if you get smooth operation running your brass like you're doing reloading, you're good to go. So here's what I mean by smooth operation. You put a case into your press and you run it, and you notice that this will flip over about a rotation of about 100, 105 degrees, like so. It just threw a charge. Did you notice how smooth that action was? Watch that again. It's a smooth motion. And this is with brass that we are actually reloading. So we're using different cases all the time. You see that? Smooth. If you get this smooth action, you will join the ranks of all the reviewers who say this thing is better than apple pie. And I'll show you what I mean by a check of the powder throw. You see another smooth charge. We're going to go ahead and take this charge and put it into the scale. So you see there's a scale set for 6.5 grains. And this is virtual. I'm not doing anything here. I haven't pre-measured this or anything. Notice that it's light by about 0.05 grain. That's less than 1/10 of a grain low. So now I'll go ahead and load 10 more brass, and then we'll check the 10th one again, and I'll show you that. So the only way I can show you this is by holding the camera up and running the case. You see, there goes the throw, and then taking this case and going right over to the scale, and you see the accuracy of that. That's why we really like this Lee Auto Drum powder measure. When it's running smooth, it's the best powder measure around. And for like $36, it's very hard to beat. So you see, here's the 30th case. And there's that smooth throw. And then we take this over. And you see that's about 0.05 grain light. So we're going from 0.05 grain light to 0.05 grain heavy. That is a range of 1/10 of a grain. And makes us really want to sing the praises of this measure. So here's the 51st case. Again, nice smooth action. And into the scale it goes. Let's see what we get with this one. You gotta love that powder measure, and that's why I have 3 of these things. Incidentally, with this RCBS reloading tray, you can actually use it to hold 145 ACP cases if you wanted to do that, because you have 2 levels of 50 each. You can take any random case you want. They're all going to be accurate. That's how good that measure is. This particular 45 ACP case happens to be from Premium Ammo. Let's just take that one, throw it into the scale. And you see that one happens to be a little bit heavy, probably about 0.05 grain heavy. But that's fine, it's all within the 1/10 range. Now some of you may recall in a recent video that was just done that we used the Lee Auto Drum to load 38 Special with 3.5 grains of promo, and we were having some problems with the chattering of this Lee Auto Drum powder measure. It wasn't running smooth, and that's where all the problems come up with accuracy with this powder measure. Let's go into that. I haven't mentioned that problem in a while, so let me share with you those considerations. So when it comes to accuracy of this powder measure, if you get smooth run, smooth throw, you get accuracy. Now the flip side of that is when we get what we call, and you all know what this is when you run into it, when you get the chatter. When this does not run smoothly, then we weigh the powder charges and we find that there's error. So you see, I've set up the same conditions as was happening in the last video, and even making it a little worse by going with a 357 Magnum case instead. And you see, there was just a little bit of a chatter on that one. That little click at the very beginning, but didn't get it there. Didn't get it there. Just the slightest sound there, but nothing there. This is not like the chatter that we get. It's like a click, and you can actually see this shake a little bit. Nope. So these three tried the chatter. So you see we got level, set for 3.5 grains. And you see the accuracy is just fine. So shooters and reloaders, I'm sorry to report to you that I've tried every combination of drum in, powder out, drum out. I can't get this chatter and pop problem to happen on demand. I can't demonstrate it here because I can't get it to, everything I've done today is running smoothly. But if we're getting smooth run on the first pass through with this powder measure, then we're just smiling because we got the best, as we showed you in the beginning of this video. You don't get the pops and clicks on the second pass of the case through this powder measure. So if you go ahead and expand and mouth flare first as a separate operation, and then mount your Lee auto drum powder measure, you won't get any clicks and pops or chatters on the second run through, and you'll get the accurate drops of powder then. So that's the best policy, to use this and not be frustrated. So you see, we've got the clicks and pops and chatters under control. We know how to deal with it to make this powder measure work very well for us.